Thousands of demonstrators have united across Canada to take action against a proposed anti-terrorism legislation known as Bill C-51. It would expand the powers of the police and the nation's spy agency, especially when it comes to detaining those who are deemed as terrorist suspects. Demonstrators across Canada held signs and chanted against the bill, which they believe violates Canadian civil liberties and online privacy rights. Here's what one demonstrator had to say, I quote, "I'm really worried about democracy. This country is going on a really bad direction. Prime Minister Stephen Harper is taking it in a really bad direction. Freedom to speak out against the government is probably in jeopardy. Even if you're just posting stuff online, you could be targeted. So it's a real terrifying bill." Jose, what do you think? Is it a terrifying bill, or is Canada, just doing what they need to do to protect themselves? Because, we usually think of Canada as the country above us where, nothing really like this kind of stuff happens. You'd think.
Well, I'm happy to see that the citizens go out and they ask for what we all want, that is more freedom, and we want less intervention from the government on our private matters. Yet we are seeing a trend all throughout the Western world where the governments, they are trying to pass laws that take us a little bit of personal freedom every time, which I think it sucks. But I'm glad to see that the citizens are speaking up and they're going out to the streets and saying, no more, we don't approve of the government taking our liberties away.
Yeah, that is one way to look at it, right? Yeah. So you're looking at it from the protesters' point of view. Now, here's Roxanne James, who's a representative of government in Canada. This is what she had to say, and she's obviously pro-bill because she's, probably one of the people proposing it. Here's what she had to say, quote, "Most people across Canada believe that if one branch of government comes across information pertinent to all national security, this country, and the safety and security of our citizens, then that branch of government should be able to relay the information to our national security agencies. That is precisely what Bill C-51 would do, and I was pleased to be able to answer those concerns." So at the same time, maybe it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation.
Yeah.
They sit back and they don't tap people's phones and they don't monitor people, well, something bad might happen, right?
Correct.
If they do, you have people out protesting, saying that this is George Orwell, taking away our freedom, Big Brother is watching.
But that's the process. They take one single liberty that is not too much.
But are they out?
That they took too many of them.
At once.
And then you as a citizen are in a situation where you don't have the liberties that you used to have because they've been taking them one by one. I do understand the way they're presenting the bill, and obviously there is a legitimate effort to protect the well-being of the country by establishing an open system where they connect and they rely on each other, the government agencies, to prevent crime. But how big the legislation is the important part. How much do they gonna have wiggle room to commit certain activities of wiretapping or even taking it to the extreme? Are they going to use this bill to target specific groups with a certain speech liberty? That's the part that I think the protesters are talking about. And the government, they're always going to have a good way to present the bill, obviously.
Right. And it is that very ambiguity which pisses a lot of people off. They're saying that the bill will be used to disproportionately target certain groups, like indigenous people, especially Muslims, even if we're talking now about the rise in terror, who are already facing targeting, the police targeting them because of their religion. But whether it will or not just be, a secret way to infringe on people's privacy and their human rights, I don't know. It's hard to say. But like I said, it's a damned if you don't kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I know it brings up the whole NHS, Michael Snowden kind of thing about like how far should the government get into this, But at the same time, shouldn't people be willing to sacrifice certain things in order to, for the good of the safety and the whole country?
I think if the transparency was in place for us to see what they're doing with this information, yes, of course. But the problem is that we don't get to see that transparency. We don't know for sure what are the governments doing with our private information. It might be only a legitimate goal to prevent crime and to prevent terrorism and to prevent foreign countries or, get access to national security information. On the other side, how much do they want us to be, easy to control.
Exactly, exactly. And I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Of course, let us know what you guys think. Is the Canadian government taking it way too far, or are they simply looking out for their own safety? Let us know by commenting. And of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Lib TV for more.